Hi guys, welcome to Gex and Specs and Friends. Today I am joined by Tiffany's Reptiles and Crazy Royal Geckos. Again, just so you know, today we are going to be talking about the elusive Petco and PetSmart dilemmas. And I want to make a disclaimer beforehand that please, these are all our own personal opinions and experiences. And while there are factual things based on what we are saying, you really should do your own research and research into this for your own well-being and to form your own opinion. I just want to get that out there. And all right, guys. So,
Hello.
hello. We've literally it happened again, guys. We just have been talking. I think we were talking for like a good 15 or so minutes beforehand. Yeah.
I know we're good at that.
We
We're
I mean,
chatting.
no, we really are. I feel like sometimes if we didn't even focus, we could go on a whole hour and a half and then we'd be like, "Oh yeah, recording."
Oh yeah, we forgot about recording.
Yeah. But so as I guess I'll just ask you both individually first, because you both have worked at a PetSmart. I'll ask you both individually what your experience was there. And I'll just start with you, Tiffany, if that's okay. What was your experience working in the PetSmart environment? What was the environment like? What was it like working there?
Okay, so I started working there when I was 18 and I worked there for 4 years and I'm 27 now, so it's been a very long time. But while I was working there, my first year I was a cashier and then the years after that, there we go. The years after that, I worked in the pet care department, and then during my fourth year, I was in the pet care department and in the grooming department as a bather. And there is not one. I did a little bit of stocking too, and there's like not one part of that store that ran smoothly or was like animal friendly or that I'd recommend for anyone. Like a lot of people would ask me advice that really should have been answered by a medical professional, and they really encourage you to, like a veterinarian, and they
Mm-hmm.
really encourage you to never like turn the customers away. They're always like, you have to answer the question, and like they prefer you to not say, like, go to the vet. Now, I had a really great pet care manager that was really down to earth and real, and like she was really cool. So
Mm-hmm.
she didn't encourage that. But the store manager was awful and just always wanted us to sell those stupid puppy kits that they have. I don't know if they still have them.
Oh.
And she was all about the numbers, all about getting animals sold, getting everybody sold, like everything sold. Like Blue Buffalo, she was always pushing the Blue Buffalo dog food, which can like it's really high in protein, so like it's really not great for every dog or most dogs. I don't know. I don't think it's the best. But all in all, like the animal care was really terrible. There was a lot of neglect from like some of my coworkers. Not all of them. Some of them are really on it. Like we had one girl that worked, or well, she still does. She works as a zoo as a zookeeper too,
Mm-hmm.
and like she took excellent care of all the animals and was just so efficient. But other than like her and like a couple other people and me, like no one cared. Like it was really terrible. Like I felt like I was the only one medicating the animals in the isolation room that they have in the back, and like I don't know what goes on in other PetSmart's isolation rooms, but I'm sure it's not pretty. So, but I can keep going off, so you can stop me or Taylor if you want to take over.
Go on. You can add in on Taylor.
It's actually it's the same. Realistically, mine's worse because it's a location where I'm at. It's not the nicest location, so I don't know if that can justify it. It shouldn't, but no one cares. I see more death than animals getting sold, so it's quite interesting. Actually, like I said, I started taking pictures because, and I've showed you guys them, and they're
Yeah.
really sad. I end up taking half of them home because they're not gonna make it, and I feel really bad for them. We got a new management. Everyone in our new management's new, and they're trying to sell everything, even the stuff that you shouldn't sell to them because they're trying to get their margin back up because right now our store, I'm kind of hoping fails and crashes because we're heading that way. But lot of where our store is very organized. Half the stuff is not even on it. The animals in horrible condition. Like half the animals are like bones, and it's well, I don't know why anyone wants to buy them. They're half of them, like I said, die. Our hamsters are really bad. I feel bad for the hamster and guinea pigs because their tanks are filthy. It smells. They sit in their own feces. Because I work night shifts, and if you know working night shifts, you can't really clean the cages.
Yeah, they don't give you a lot of time. It was like
Feeding
that
the
for me.
animals, yeah, and you're just feeding them. You're trying to get them all done in 4 hours. And there's a lot of animals, and especially the vaccines and all that for like when they're animals, because we have a huge problem with ringworms right now. Crazy, it's disgusting. Like some our manager tried to hold them with ringworms. I'm like, girl, do you not realize you're gonna get ringworms? You know, literally bare hands to her face, to her face.
Oh
Oh
god,
no.
that's awful. And they shove so many baby guinea pigs into this like little enclosure,
Into this
and
box.
yeah, and like there's barely any ventilation. Like I don't know how like they make it, but
Ours don't.
it's
Ours
bad.
die from thirst.
Is it like what are
They
the
don't get
iso
water. Ours don't get water. Ours don't get food. It's a blessing if the animals get fed at our store, honestly, and I'm not
Uh,
exaggerating. So it's because with the new management, they claim that they watch pet care, because I'm in pet care, and they claim that they watch people, but people, they just don't care. We're getting so many new pet cares every so often. I'm like, who are you? Who are you? Because no one wants to show
Mhm.
up to work. So if no one shows up to work, then those animals don't get cared for because the management, they don't care. They absolutely don't care if these animals live or not. They're $5 to them because PetSmart gets them for what? Five, $3. Leopard geckos are like what, $2? If I'm correct,
oh
two or
my
$3.
gosh.
So and they sell them for $30. Who cares if they die? Who
It's
cares if you lose
terrible.
$2? One leopard
Yeah.
gecko pays for a couple of them. You
It's
know,
just
I was
it
fortunate enough to have like enough people that cared that it was like if the animal was healthy, then like they were totally fine. But if they weren't healthy, then they would, like they weren't going to get better. So it kind of stunk that
oh,
mhm.
like it was just so bad. It's like we would send a lot of hamsters back with wet tail and
yes,
like
we have tons of wet tail.
yeah, and
Is wet
chinchillas
tail
and
contagious
giardia
to people?
stuff like
I don't know.
Um,
that.
so I was gonna actually ask, what is the isolation room? Because I've never really heard of that
The death
before.
box. What do
The
you?
death room. So in my store, it was like this really tiny little room, and it had like what kind of looked like a leopard gecko or a snake rack, but it was for hamsters, and
Mm.
like all the sick hamsters. And there was like two larger tubs at the bottom for sick chinchillas or guinea pigs, and then there was a hospital tank for fish. And there was like one side for like aggressive or semi-aggressive fish, and the other side was for like just regular tropical fish or goldfish that weren't aggressive, but it was like really little, and we like shoved every sick fish in there, which was like a lot of fish because they don't, like when they're shipped, they
Yeah.
succumb to stress and illness and whatever. So we would treat the tank, but like I don't know, most of them just didn't make it, so they kind of just were stuck in there until they died. Some of them recovered, but it was rare. That was like the strong
Yeah.
ones, I guess. And then like in my experience, we had a ton of ringworm for the guinea pigs and giardia with the chinchillas. And usually, I mean, the ringworm's kind of an easy cure. You just have to, put an antifungal ointment on and make sure that it doesn't spread to other guinea pigs or to
Hmm.
yourself. But the giardia was a little tougher because they get so dehydrated from diarrhea and whatnot. So that was a little tougher, but I never saw a chinchilla die from giardia, but I did, they were miserable. Like it was
Yeah.
sad. So it was just like, why do they have to go through this? Like if they were just kept in proper conditions, they wouldn't have to go through this. And it's the same thing in grooming. Like, I don't know why anyone would ever take their dog or cat or whatever to PetSmart, like grooming, because it is horrible. Like, it is so, and they have no idea. You can't see in the back. And they put these like big giant dryers on the cage doors, and they're not supposed to put them on certain breeds of dogs like pugs, chihuahuas, like anything with a smushed face or a smaller um, snoot, because I can't think of the regular word, muzzle. Um, but I mean, the workers there are like 18 years old and get paid like 10 an hour, so they don't care. So they just stick a dryer on everybody. And that's not what you're supposed to do. And like, it's a very, very high stress environment. They don't teach you any kind of fear-free techniques or stress-free techniques. Like, it's all just like wrangle them. It's terrible. And there's a lot of behind the scenes that you don't see, and like people are just dropping their dogs off there, and they're like, why is it taking 4 hours? And it's like, because your dog was struggling for 3 of those, and we are told that we have to get it done or we'll get in trouble. So
Yeah. And it's worse because you're taught on a computer and not professionally taught. You
yeah,
know, you're taught from a
yeah,
computer. The people don't realize that. You're taught from, you literally go on a computer, you do all this, and then you talk for someone there. And not to mention at mine, I've seen them hit the dogs. And I'm like, you don't hit them. That doesn't help. And they're like pinning them down. It's like, what are you guys doing? Like,
yeah. I
this
don't. The
nice.
owners have no clue. They have no
They
clue.
have no clue what's going on.
Do you guys like sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Do you guys like do they not have like regular people like animal welfare checks there at all? Because I know like smaller reptile run businesses get regular animal welfare checks or even smaller pet stores get animal welfare checks. Do Petco and PetSmart just somehow avoid detection or is it
Um,
like they're in cahoots? Like how do they not get caught for all this is like my
our
curiosity.
our store, what they do, and it's no, our store gets constantly written up, but he doesn't push it. It's some dude, I forgot his, I don't know, and he has, everyone kind of hates him because he nags, but it's like he's being truthful. You're all hating him because he nags at you guys for what you're supposed to be doing, but he doesn't push anything. That's the problem. He comes in, he's like the main manager, but I don't think he's a animal welfare because I don't see those. Because like if I truly think that I see those and they do come in, they would shut down. I for sure would shut down my store. My store is that bad. They would shut it down.
Oh gosh.
They would shut it down. It's disgusting. There's moss. There's maggots. Ugh. I mean,
Oh gosh.
oh,
That's terrible. We at least never had that. That's
oh no.
awful. But
Um,
at my store, what we did, the district manager would come through every once in a
yes,
while, and he
them.
would have, I guess it was an animal. Every once in a while, he would have someone accompanying him, and for different reasons.
Mhm.
Sometimes it was like the regional manager, and sometimes it was like the animal welfare person or like an inspector. And what we did is we were all the way at the bottom of the district. So the other districts would like, find out, and then the district manager, or I mean the other stores in the district would find out before us. So the district manager would like tell all the other stores. So he like really honed in on like the first store to usually get hit, and then he
Mhm.
would tell the rest of us like, hey, get your act together, we're probably going to be there within the next week or two. So then the managers would get really rough on us, and then everything would be perfect until the inspection was done, and then everything would just fall back through.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what they would do to ours because we're at the bottom because no one cares about our store. So we get it all looking nice, and like they would complain about how the store would look nice, but and then they would clean all the cages because they're filthy in one day, and the cages would look nice for one day, and they just for weeks on end look horrible because no one cleans them. It stinks. You can smell it when you walk into the store. And I'm like, how do people want to buy these animals? Even if me being who I am, and I know I'm in the ghetto, why would you want to buy something that stinks? It smells
Yeah.
like death. And the fish get it bad where I'm at. They got all of them got pinworms. Oh my
Oh
god,
my gosh. Oh.
infested with pinworms and ick. And like I got yelled at by my manager for pet care manager. I got yelled at because I told the because the customer said it had ick, and I said yeah, and she got mad at me for saying, "Why did you tell him that it had ick?" I'm like, "Are you blind? are you blind? I mean, you cannot tell me that you don't see ick too. She says, well, if you see ick, you should do something about it. I'm like, literally, I was helping the customer one money too, like, hold it. This got to happen
Are you
now
expected to like
because you guys, but if I did that, I'd be telling the customer to wait.
are you guys like expected to sell sick animals and not say anything? Like even if you do know you're not like you just sell them sick, like you don't say
Yeah.
anything?
Well, I could sell them sick because they just bring them back and we just take them back to health with their money because what our store will do is we'll take in the sick animals and bring them back to health, which is hilarious. Hilarious, okay? So they'll bring them. Right now, we have a ball python that is
Mhm.
not eating. No snick, no dur because it's around the season when they usually don't eat. You know, sometimes they'll go out feeding, and so they're force feeding him
Yeah.
right now,
Ugh.
Oh, that's
and he doesn't
terrible.
need to be force fed.
You don't need to force feed unless it's like dire conditions. Like even if a
Yeah,
snake's slightly underweight, that's not an excuse to even start assist feeding. Like assist feeding is always first, and that's you never do that unless like an animal's very, very severely underweight and on death's door, like knocking because they're starving.
yeah,
Like,
there's nothing wrong with him. He's pretty chunky, actually. So I was wondering why they even brought him here. And like we put, oh my god, we're talking about cringe. So to suck shit off of him, they put him in this container into water, in water. So he's floating in this water, and it's so cringe worthy. I'm like, dude, you're gonna give him respiratory infection, or if he gets out, he's gonna drown himself. So either way, I'm like sitting here like, don't die on me, man. I'm like, gosh, she's gonna die before it even gets to his owner.
That is so sad.
this is
It's sad in my
horrible.
store. That's why I'm keep taking pictures because I hope I don't know who to even to bring them to. Honestly,
Yeah,
I don't
those
even know.
pictures are awful. Like, I,
It's
I know a lot of
disturbing.
PetSmarts will adopt out too. Like, if their animals are in really bad condition and they do take them, they'll like adopt them out. I know, like, Dainty Dinosaurs. That's how she's gotten like animals from PetSmart. Is she like adopts them?
Well,
Um,
yeah, that's how I get 90% of mine.
yeah, I mean, honestly, on the good side of things at PetSmart, actually have gotten um, two of my guinea pigs, a hamster. My first bearded dragon, who I still have, of course, Renzo. He's 5 years old now. Um, I got him like right at the end of my PetSmart career, though. And then what else? I've gotten of my leopard geckos, who I still have. They're also like 5 and 4 years old from PetSmart, and I have to say, all of them are very healthy. Like I haven't had any issues at all with any of them. But Renzo, my bearded dragon, he had a rough start. Like when I first got him from PetSmart, he was like a hatchling. Like he was not like he was a baby. Like he must have
Oh
just
wow.
hatched, and they shipped him out. And I thought I didn't know how old he was because at the time I thought maybe they started off smaller. I found out later, no, he was probably brand new. He had issues like a month after I bought him, and I don't know what they were from because I know my lighting and my supplementing were all correct. So I'm still not really sure what it was, but I thought I was going to lose him. And my friend actually helped me rehabilitate him, and he pulled through 100%. And now he's like, I haven't had a problem since. But I mean,
Mhm.
other than that, like all the animal, my hamster, she has passed away since, but she lived a very long and happy 3.5 years. She was a Chinese dwarf hamster. And she was, I mean, she just was so happy. Like even in the store, I was like, I love her and I'm gonna buy her. Like, and I did. So, like, it's not like you can't get amazing animals from there. It's just, I think it's really bad. Like now that I really know and I'm older and whatnot, and I don't work there anymore. And there's no rose tinted glasses or anything. Like I understand that like I shouldn't be supporting that store, but when
Mhm.
I worked there, I was just kind of like, well, they're here in front of me and I love them, so I'm gonna buy them. So,
Yeah, it's a lot harder when you're actually staring at them 24/7.
yeah, it's
But
hard not to like be like, well, the animal's already here, but then you're still like giving into it.
I
But
don't buy them. If I can't rescue them, I'm not gonna buy them because, like, for at my store,
yeah,
it's
that's
to get replaced by another dying, sicking animal. Like right now, we're having. Oh my gosh, my heart broke. I cried like 2 times at work, and they're like, literally came bawling because these parakeets, man. One, I didn't know what was wrong with it. She said a neurological issue. I'm like, that is not a neurologic issue. That's what's going on in this bird. Don't
No.
tell me this, and don't even say this unless you know what exactly what it's saying. Literally wrote neurological damage. Should even take it to the vet, and
Oh no.
yeah, she we have a horrible tendency to not taking our animals to the vet until literally they're dead.
There's a parakeet disease that's actually really rampant, and I believe it's genetic that comes from Petsmart parakeets. And I can't remember what the name of it is, but it makes their like around their beak and their like feet like really crusty and like gross. And I can't remember the name of it, but I remember it was pretty rampant at my Petsmart at one point. And a coworker of mine who got fired, she was like begged management to like not take any more parakeets because they were going to keep getting this disease. But I don't remember what it was, but I think it was genetic, but they could also catch it. I don't remember what it was,
You
but I
know,
don't know if you know, Taylor, but it was like really gross.
I actually ours has not had that. I have not seen that. Believe it or not, the parakeets have been the healthiest out of them all. I'm gonna give PetSmart a little benefit right there. The parakeets and the canaries and the finch and once the blue nymph because our store is so in the ghetto they cannot afford the conures or the chinchillas. We barely get those, so those are another good thing. We don't get hardly any more chinchillas, would sit there for months and months, so we don't really get those. And then the conures either. We just get the basic cheap ones because no one wants to buy that. But the birds have been pretty healthy. I come up, but it's hard to tell birds. I cannot really say that because birds are like one of the hardest things to
Mm-hmm.
tell that are healthy until it literally is too late, having
Yeah.
birds. Yeah, so I can't really say that, but from them coming in, I haven't seen them go downhill and they're trying to be
Yeah,
everywhere.
I like other than the budgies, like the parakeets, like other than them, like the conures always come in great condition. And
Oh, yes.
like I've never seen a sick conure, and they're always really happy and like I don't know if maybe they get their conures from like a legitimate breeder, but I know like
Most likely.
they come with papers and
Yes.
they like their hatch date and everything's on it, and they're actually pretty legit. So I don't know if they
Interesting.
have like a good conure vendor that like going on, but I never had like we had a couple like aggressive sun conures, but I was always able to work with them. Like I never needed like if I did need gloves, it wasn't like horrible. Like I never felt like the conure was gonna rip my fingers off or anything. But like and the canaries did really well. Like I know they have canaries, and I never saw anything really wrong with them, and they're pretty chill. So
Yeah, I loved listening to the Canaries, not gonna lie.
yeah,
I love listening to them and everything. They were a joy
yeah,
because we're my location. They were given to the most cruddy people because I don't know if your store can say that, but we can't say no. No.
uh,
Unless it's double standard and it isn't my pet care manager, she can say no. But I can't say no.
well, that's terrible because you're the one that's gonna deal with the people the most. Because like the managers always get pulled in like a million directions. I mean, the one thing we were always told, like, that they have that like over the counter tapeworm medication and things like that. Well, I'm not really convinced that that totally works because most of the people would have like reoccurring problems and come back in like months later and be like, my dog's worse now. And I'm like, well, have you gone to the vet? And they're like, no. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe you should seek out actual veterinarian help. And like, I just feel bad because if people are so resistant to getting vet care for their cats and dogs, I can't
Mhm.
imagine how resistant they are to get pet care for
For
their
an
small
exotic.
exotics.
You know,
And so it's like,
You know,
oh
there's
boy.
one lady that does come in. She loves her leopard gecko. Oh, constantly adores him. He had stuck shed literally in his eye. She didn't know why, and she took him to the vet. She literally spent hell of money to take him to the vet when it could have easily she done herself. I mean, there's some people that do care. I mean, I remember this lady. I love her to death that comes in. She literally because she has post-traumatic stress disorder, so that's her therapy animal, and literally she would spend heaven and earth for that gecko. She constantly
Aww.
says that every day. She said she would be dead if she didn't have that gecko. I'm like, oh, it's kind of adorable, you know.
That's cute.
'Cause
That's
yes,
like
you.
nice to hear like the nice side of things, but there are people who come in and care.
Oh, there's genuine
What
people that do come in.
Yeah, I think in my experience as someone who didn't work there and has just gone in as a guest, I've definitely noticed people start treating me differently when I like start talking and I sound like I know things. Not like in a rude way, but like I remember like I was buying like supplies there when I was getting one of my leopard geckos just 'cause like I had ordered in some hides and they came in broken and I just didn't have time for Amazon because of like shipping dates. You know the drill.
Yeah.
So I just was like, I'm gonna go into Petco, PetSmart, whatever. I'm gonna figure it out. And I went into Petco and I remember like this girl was like talking to me and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm getting a leopard gecko." And then she mentioned like calci sand and stuff and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm actually a breeder." And then I like started going off on like genetics and stuff and her tone with me like
Totally changed.
completely shifted. Like it
Yeah.
was insane to hear like she was like, "Oh, like have you heard of this line of tangerine?" And like she almost was like I was like, "Oh, I do paper towels." She's like, "Oh yeah, paper towels really good." Like I don't really like she even like leaned in and whispered, she's like, "I don't really like the sand. I'm just required. Like I'm required to say that." And it's to me it's kind of scary that like they're required almost like I'm not saying like maybe you guys but it feels like at least from like a perspective as someone who goes in knowing things
Hmm.
I feel like I'm treated almost like I'm naive or dumb or I don't know what I'm like I like they
Yeah.
know more than me and then when I open my mouth and it actually turns out I know what I'm talking about it's like snap of fingers like an immediate change in demeanor with me.
Yes. No, I totally experienced the same thing. Like now that I'm only a customer and not like an employee, I worked at PetSmart when I lived in New Jersey. So now that I live in Florida, like, I have no ties or connections to
Yeah.
this PetSmart at all whatsoever. And the first couple times I went in there because I didn't know about like the reptile stores in my area yet, or like I didn't order my dog's food through and my cat food through my job yet. So like I had to
Yeah.
go to PetSmart, for all my resources for the first like couple months until I really got established. And when I went, every time I went to the pet wall or the fish wall or whatever it's called, this guy was always there, this young guy, like a lot younger than me. He's probably 18. He doesn't even look like he'd be 18. Every time I would get crickets or a hornworm or whatever I was getting, or red wigglers or whatever, or snails from axolotl tank, or like whatever I was getting, he
Yeah.
was always just like, "Oh, what are you feeding?" And he would just go off on like what I should do and how much I should be feeding and how I should supplement and how long I should gut load. And I was just like, oh my God, like, dude, you are like so young. And have kept reptiles since I was your age, like, and younger. Like, can you chill? So as soon as I mentioned, like, I have a tegu, his attitude completely changed. So it's funny how, like, I guess owning a tegu makes you this amazing reptile owner in his book. I don't know. But like as soon as I was like, "Oh yeah, I know. I have all this and this and this," and I said a tegu, and his eyes just got wide, and he was like, "Oh," and I'm just like, "I guess I'm an expert now, huh?" By no means am I, but like,
You have a Tegu, you're
it's
expert.
just funny that I guess like
You
a
reach
tegu
expert
for him
level.
was like a badge of honor. I don't know.
You've apparently reached expert level. Just like go into a Petco or PetSmart, be like, and they come up to you, be like, I own a Tegu, and that's
Yeah,
all you gotta say, and then they're gonna leave you alone. No,
yeah.
like I've
So
definitely also because I don't the area I'm in, I don't have a lot of PetSmarts close to me. I have a lot of Petcos, and one, their care is horrible. Like I've seen leopard geckos with metabolic bone disease and they don't acknowledge it. Like they don't mention it or like they have those stupid, I don't know if the PetSmarts have them, but they have those stupid little signs are like if you see old skin on me, like it's okay. That's just normal. And I literally was like,
Our
it's
Petco
not
has that.
retention.
Our Petco has that, but not our PetSmart. And also, our Petco has. What else did our Petco say? Something dumb, not just duck shed.
yeah, like the
Oh,
shed
to
with
buy
the
more than one? Have you seen the like, you have to buy me
no,
a friend signs at Petco?
I have not seen those. Do
I
they
have
have
not
those
seen
at the
those on mine.
reptile tanks?
Oh my God. So on when I went to Petco, they have it on like all kinds of different tanks now. But they're like, if you buy me, then you should buy me a friend for like this much off. And all I'm thinking is like, can you not encourage cohabiting? Like, please, especially for new reptile owners, especially for new reptile owners that don't understand reptile body language and don't understand, like, I mean, you really shouldn't cohab most species in general, but when you're brand new to the hobby and you have no idea what you're doing, like at least like if you're a breeder, like you cohab to breed.
Yeah.
But that's even then, like I most breeders usually
There's
only
still
cohab
separation
for breeding,
periods.
and then they separate. Yeah. So it's like there's really no reason to encourage cohabiting like leopard geckos and bearded dragons and blue tongue skinks, which can be incredibly aggressive. Like I know my Renzo, like when he even just sees another lizard, he flips. Like when he sees Raylan, it's like a courting response. But when he sees my leopard geckos or my tegu or my skinks, he like through the glass or whatever, he flips out like he wants to eat them. So like I can't imagine like putting another male bearded dragon or a female bearded dragon in with him or like anything else because people probably
Oh
stick
my
different
god,
species
I
together.
feel that. Even
Oh
with
god.
bubblegum, like he anything comes near his cage, it's like I'm gonna kill you. Like it'd be like even a female, he's like, I'm like I always joke,
That's Saturn.
like my little boy's gay, but because like I always joke like that little boy because he'll attack anything that goes, but he'll attack me though too. So he's just a hateful leopard gecko, just a
Oh,
hateful.
and then not to backtrack, but I did forget because I said everybody was perfect from PetSmart. But my second leopard gecko, he had part of his tail missing. So he's been like that for so long now, though. I know we talked about it before. I think it's in another
It's I think
podcast.
it's probably I think it's
But
in episode 1,
I
maybe.
totally forgot about that for the moment. But he's been like that like since I've had him. So like I'm kind of just like that's what he looks like. Like I always like now I like forget. But yeah, so that was like the whole like was it a hide or was it from cohabiting with other geckos, like that whole thing. But since he was kind of like that when I got him, I'm just like that's him. So, but he was
Yeah.
always healthy. He just has a very ugly tail.
I think I've
But
mentioned that it probably was cohabiting because, like, from my knowledge, usually geckos will drop their whole tail if it's pinched or like if they feel threatened because they want to just get completely away. Like, I don't think they have the ability to drop pieces. Don't quote me on
yeah.
that. They
Um,
might.
they can drop pieces because I rescued Butch.
Uh-huh.
And what else have I watched? The new one that I currently have that is 9 pounds. That's 6 months, 7 months.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, and is the size of an ant. Both have tails missing, like part of their tails missing,
Uh-huh.
so they can bite them off easily. I have many of the geckos we get are half-eaten tails because they
Ugh.
don't show up in the tank, so someone ate them. Obviously, they disappeared. So yeah, they can bite pieces off. They don't have to take the whole tank. I mean, not the whole tank, the whole tail with them. Most of them will eat it off, half of it. But Courage lost her whole tail, half of her skin on top of her neck, and then her back. So you can always see this little weird scar flesh still. And then Butch, I don't know if his arm is from MED or from being bitten. They couldn't tell if it was from
Ugh.
being bitten or from being that because his whole body's fine. So I think it was from him being thrashed around. I'm starting to realize that because his whole body, he walks fine, but he doesn't like to walk on it, and it's starting to swell around. So I might actually amputate his arm, but I don't know if they'll do that. So
It's
that's gonna
just
end up being that.
it's just awful. Like I like it makes me sick like to like even I'm just backtracking again to see that get me a friend or they have the signs like I mean yeah it's great to promote like if a crested gecko has a drop tail that doesn't mean anything's wrong, but I've seen those signs on leopard gecko tanks with leopard geckos that have a tail that is currently regrowing, which by the way they don't have them in sterile environments at all to have a properly regrowing tail. And they're like, oh, that doesn't mean anything was wrong with me or that nothing bad happened, it just happens. Like they have these stupid signs that say something like that. And like, yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine for a crested gecko because crested geckos are known to just drop their tail like crazy. But for when you see that for a leopard gecko, that's a big like no, no. Like that's do not pass go, do not collect 200. Like just don't.
I would never buy a leopard gecko that was buying listener tail for the full price. That's just me though. Never. They sell a leopard gecko at that price and they try to still sell it. I'm looking at me like, no, I would never. Because it's just, I'm sorry, they're not pretty. They look hideous with their tail missing.
I feel like it's just manipulation almost so. Like not to say that you guys are like manipulative people or anything, but I'm saying in a lot of those places I feel like a lot of the workers because they don't care and they just want to make the sale, it's very much manipulate the naivety of people.
Yeah,
Well,
and there's a lot of people that will literally take this professional advice from like these 18-year-old kids that don't give a damn. And it's like, dude, what are you doing? Like it's just so weird
thank
that these people
you.
think like I
And
don't know if they think you're paid like 50 an hour or something and like
Like
you're
we're exotic
professionally
vet.
trained. Yeah, like I don't like I guess they think we're all like herpetologists and whatever fish people are called. Like I
I
don't
mean, you
know, but
guys aren't. Like I
you
thought you
know,
guys were.
um,
you-
uh, wait, I'm still trying to think of what bird and fish people are called. Oh well.
um,
Sorry.
Aviary? A very I don't know.
aviaries for birds,
Avians? I don't know.
Audubon, Audubon, always an Audubon because bird. That's Audubon Society is bird something. It can be Audubon. I'm
I
not.
don't I'm not good with birds.
I joined because I joined the Audubon Society for birds because I was birds and reptiles. Man, I absolutely love them. I could have herds of birds and then herds of
Oh, see,
reptiles.
I'm not a bird person
Oh my!
personally. They kind of scare me.
I
I
love
love
birds.
conures and parrots, but I'll never get a parrot because I think that will always be too much for me. But I want to rescue a conure. Like as soon as I get a house, I'm gonna rescue a conure. So
I want chickens. I want a herd of army of chickens.
Okay, see,
um,
I like chickens, I like ducks, but like I don't know. I had a few run-ins with seagulls as a kid. Like I had a seagull when I was a kid try and peck my eye out. True story. I had to get
oh my god.
stitches. So, off topic, but yeah, birds terrify me. So like someone thought it'd be fun because they thought I was into reptiles, that they thought it'd be fun to take me to like a exotic bird store. I was not vibing. Like I was like, y'all are cool and pretty to look at, but you scare me. Like because we have the Canadian geese down here too, and they're evil, 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 evil.
Oh, I enjoy geese. Geese are my favorite. I
Oh no.
love when
I
they
love geese.
honk at you with their sass. I love sassy animals. The more attitude you have, the better. And geese just have it. Geese just have that attitude that I just bring it. I'm not afraid of
Yeah,
them either. Well, at
I'm
my
like
college, they have them. They had them at like I think LMC. They had a bunch of them, and people would run. I would crack up. People were running from them. I'm just sitting here like you. I'm just sitting
Don't
here
they
cracking up.
usually only I hear that geese are mainly aggressive not because like they're naturally aggressive, but because like where they tend to lay their nests are near where like humans are. Like just naturally.
They're
So,
very territorial. That's kind of
yeah.
another thing.
oh, I've noticed.
I actually have plans like when I buy so I'm going to be renting a house in July, I believe.
We're
But
excited.
talking like future like buying house plans, I have this whole thing planned out where like I'm going to have a pond and I'm going to have koi, but I also want to have geese and they're like the most dinosaur guard beasts like because I want to get I think I want to go with like the African geese cuz they're like
Oh,
Yes.
but I think they're my favorite. I still don't know, but like because I've mainly was raised with the Chinese white, I think they're called. So I've mainly been raised around them, and they're like so crazy sometimes. But honestly, if you just like ignore them and hold your ground, they don't they back off. Like my roosters were always like that too because we had chickens growing up, and my roosters would always like charge, and if you just like not kick them, but if you like lightly kind of like lift them with your foot and kind of toss them away, they're like, oh, okay. So,
Yeah. My rooster, he was my best friend, man. I've never loved an animal more than that thing. Rest in peace though. Um, but he learned to respect me because every time he would charge at me, I would back the back of his feathers and just pull him back. I'm like, boy, we're good. And he eventually stopped. He's like, well, I can't get to you. I'm
yeah,
like,
you
I have
have to
longer
like
arms than
teach
you.
them.
But I'm
Yeah.
gonna always say chickens are much more painful than geese. I'd rather be bitten by geese because they don't hurt to me. If you put a fist and you just sit there, as long as they don't pinch you, they don't get that good pinch. They don't
Yeah.
hurt. That's that pinching factor.
Chickens can pinch.
Chickens
They
have spurs and can peck the hell out of you.
yeah, they
But
can
No, I
always pinch because
I know. I another distinct bird memory,
be for
Ciara's
but geese they
childhood
have to
trauma.
look for it.
No,
Oh,
like
I love
childhood
birds.
trauma with me. I
the
remember
bird.
as a little kid, I went to one of those like, do you guys have like state fairs or like county fairs?
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
so I went to like a little, it's like the Orange County Fair, like it's my county. And I remember like there was this like chicken and they had an egg. And like, okay, it's my own fault, but I was 3 and I thought like I'm gonna grab the egg because that's what you do apparently in my head because I had seen it in like a farming movie. And I remember I like reached my hand in and that chicken like took a chunk out of my finger.
Oh my
Like I
god.
think birds and I just don't get along. Like
They're
that
You know,
they
to be
scare me.
respectful though, chickens are metal. Like people don't realize like chickens I've seen chickens take down hawks like in a group and take on rats and like eat rats. Like people don't
My
realize they
God.
could be metal in groups. Full on metal. Like
yeah.
literally terrorize a hawk. I've never forget that. Literally took down a hawk, swoop and grabbed one, but and the rooster went yeet, kicked. He got it at right time. He kicked him down, and they swarmed on this hawk, just literally almost killing him. I was like what 6, and I came over because I was scared because I didn't want to hurt because I don't like any animals getting hurt, even though
Mhm.
it literally almost took one of my chickens, you know. But I took and he had blood all over his body. You know, chickens are metal.
Oh
I
my
respect
goodness.
them. I respect them. They almost killed that hawk if I didn't step in. He was gonna eat him.
Wow, I've never even heard of that. Like my chickens all that like they lived a really long time, but eventually when they were like maybe 8 or 9 years old, like a fox came in and finally
Oh
figured out how to get
no.
in and took them all. But before that, they did live happy, long, healthy lives, and we just hope that it was very quick. When like the fox, I get we think it was a fox because we saw him in the area like the next
Mhm.
couple days. So it was really sad. But um, there was like a break in the fence that we just didn't know, and we think maybe he slowly made it because like that thing was fortified, but it was also
Mhm.
like almost 10 years old. So we think eventually he just kind of figured out where a weak point was and got through. But that's sad.
Yeah.
But before all that, it was very happy and an awesome experience, and they
Yeah.
were like really cool. So
I remember a raccoon pried open a roost. I mean, a chicken coop, literally Hulk style, and took. I mean, that was so sad. He was. That's how I got Wesker though, because he pulled her through. You can see the blood and everything. Left half of it. I'm like, at least if you're gonna eat it, you little turd. Like, eat the whole thing. Don't leave stuff for me to find in the morning. Take it with you.
yeah, it's sad.
No, it's like I hate when they do that. Like if you're gonna eat it, because I don't. I mean, I know sometimes it's life, but it hurts. It hurts so bad. Like take something that you care about. But our chickens were metal. They attacked cats, dogs. They didn't care. I respect them.
But speaking of dogs though, like to circle back to the whole PetSmart thing,
After we
not
just spent a
to
20-minute conversation on birds.
not to backtrack totally, but
No,
I
I was gonna bring it. You're good.
Yeah,
I
we
was
need to
like
bring it
thinking
back.
in my head. I was literally like chickens, Petco, circle. But go ahead.
like how do we make this circle? Petco doesn't sell chickens.
Yeah.
Um, I just like the grooming department at Petco, I really don't think is any better because when I was in there with my dog Ace, like there's literally one person in those schmucks that they wear just sitting there in the dark, like in the waiting room, and it was just dark and I was like, oh my God, because there was just one person. And the thing that really got me about that is if they did, like, if someone was like, hey, can you bathe my dog? Like, who would watch the dog in the kennel or whatever, or wherever, if the phone rang, or like if my dog was on the table, they like put them in this like noose pretty much up on this table. Like, what if the phone rang and she had to get it and my dog hung himself? Like, I just like think about these things and like, because they've happened. Like, they've had dogs like fall off the table and like almost
Oh,
hang themselves. So it's like really scary because your dog is being put in this like noose So if your dog like slips or gets scared and tries to yeet himself off the table, um, they can like really hurt themselves. And even if they don't like hang themselves, like
They can still get hurt.
they can still damage their trachea. Like that can really contribute to like collapsed trachea and like things like that, or like even just damage like vocal cords or like just something. Like it's just like it's scary, or they can
Yeah.
like flail and hit something and cut themselves. Like I've seen a couple dogs like go to fall off the table, and if the groomer and the bather or whoever isn't standing right there, they hang for a couple seconds. And it might only be a couple seconds, but in my opinion, it's like a couple seconds way too long, because that's just that's
That should
horrible. Like it's
be
just
able to be prevented. Like it shouldn't happen at all. Like I get accidents happen,
yeah.
but it shouldn't, like from what you're saying, be happening as regularly as it was.
Yeah.
Like
And
I said,
they do tell you, like, always have your stuff by your station. If you have to step away for a moment, have someone else, like, stand there with your dog or your
but
cat
people
before
don't
you
follow
leave.
that, I'm
Yeah, but
guessing.
the whole thing is the manager there at the time when I worked there was like, just go get it. The dog will be fine. And that's always when things would happen.
Ugh.
Like
Ugh.
you'd be on the phone with a customer and you can't be like, hold on, customer, this dog's dying. Let me get it. Hold on. Like you can't like, and you can't. So you have to like. I mean, you should be able to say that, but you don't because So like you have to
Money.
be like, oh my god, and like try to juggle the dog on the table and like answering the phone, and if you forgot your nail clippers and you have to walk across the room to get your nail clippers from another drawer, like all this stuff that like is just so hazardous and it's not regulated. And like in the back is the scariest thing, because I remember I was in the back with a Great Dane once, and I was just a bather. I didn't groom or anything, so I bathed and I mainly stayed in the back with them, so I'd
Mhm.
always check on everybody. I had a Great Dane, massive, of course, because Great Dane.
Yeah.
He had a chain collar and a chain leash,
Uh-huh.
and which is fine, but I got my pinky when I went to stick his collar back on. He actually was a really good dog. He was just really excited and crazy because he was young. He was like a year and a half.
Uh-huh.
But I went to put his stuff back on him because it's dangerous for the people too, and I caught my pinky in his
Oh
collar
my
because
god.
he was flailing around, and I was just like, "Oh god." So he pulled me, and I literally screamed at the top of my lungs, and nobody heard me at all. No one came back when I finally like got my like he dragged me across the room because my pinky was stuck, and he just took off, and he knew that I dropped the leash because I panicked because my finger was like, I thought my finger was broken, but it was actually fine. Well, it was really
Oh,
swollen and like
you're
hurt for a while,
screaming.
but I don't think it was broken. But when I went up finally with the dog and was like, "Hey, did anyone like hear me literally screaming and being dragged across the floor?" Like they were like, "No, we didn't hear anything." So if they couldn't hear me literally screaming and being dragged across the floor
How could they know
by
something happened to an animal or a dog?
yeah,
Like how would you know?
yeah, exactly. Or like if someone was abusing them back there, like I know that's getting pretty dark, but this is just the things I think about because I don't trust anyone like with my dog, like or any of my animals. Like I get really protective and like I don't know, I always think that like isn't everyone like that, but they're really not. Like I just don't understand how people can drop their animals
Nose
off
off with like a bunch of
places.
18-year-olds who have no qualifications to be doing what they're doing.
Let's
Yeah.
be real though, like I've seen them hit their animals, so I'm pretty sure there is people that will hit them behind it. And there's no cameras back there, so
That's what I was gonna ask. Do they
there's no
not have
cameras.
cameras?
So there's
No.
we think there is
Why
even
are there not
cameras in there
cameras?
because I
Yeah,
know our
there's no cameras back there.
See,
I don't know about other stores, but
just seems so sketchy to me. Like what it makes me think to my head, like, what are you trying to hide? I
yeah.
don't know. That's just what comes to my mind. Um, can
But
we
to be
like
fair, though, also our customer doesn't have cameras really in general, and people can steal left and right. I don't know if your customer had really rules of theft, but man, our store it's
Oh
like
yeah.
free marketing. Like
Bowls,
you want to take
bowls and
something,
canned cat food and dog food. We're always getting stolen.
it's yeah, our store because it's in the ghetto like all the time, and they will literally in front of you put bags. You can't do anything. I'm just here cracking up. I'm like, free store. Why the hell pay at this point? Like
Just take it.
just
what I wanted to ask, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you guys, but what's your opinion on like stores now selling stuff like Petco's. I don't know if PetSmart's uses, but Petco's are now selling stuff like blue tongue skinks, savanna monitors, and stuff like iguanas. And like I said, I saw a savanna monitor or an Asian water monitor there. Like,
Oh
what's
my
your opinion
gosh.
on them selling stuff like that?
It's
And
because cause like at ours they explained it. There was a really cool dude there because me and him were brutally honest. And he says
yeah,
because what you can do at Petco, it's like a hustle side shady job. If you go out to Petco, no kidding you, and you ask, can you buy a let's say a Asian water monitor, and they'll buy it for you, and then you pay. But sometimes people don't come and get the animal, so they just sell them. That's where a lot of these do also come from.
I
Is that
didn't know
people
that.
will say, "Can you buy this?" and then they come and get them, and they never do. So they just sell them. Like I at mine currently, man, we have so many exotics. This poor emerald scale gave birth there. I didn't know they gave live births. I was googling it as I was there, about them. I felt bad. They're on sand. They're not even from sand at all. Are
Oh no.
And I'm like, I'm googling literally about these animals. Like, you could have just put them on timber like the rest, but you had to put these on sand. They're not even from sand. It was sad. Like the substrate. I mean, at least PetSmart puts them on carpet. Ours puts them on. Petco puts them on sand. Stuff that half these animals shouldn't even be on.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get PetSmart where it is on mine because we have two PetSmarts. One that's really good, and one that I work out that's horrible. But Petco, man, it's worse. I'm gonna say it's worse than my store, and that's saying a lot.
I feel like
Yeah.
the Petcos I've been to are always a little bit worse, like personally.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
are.
Yeah. Yeah, they're selling a blue tongue skink at the Petco where I live near, and I went in there to grab. What was I grabbing? I think I was grabbing my dog a toy for his day camp. I don't remember, but I was grabbing something real quick, as I usually do when I go in there. It's usually like a quick one stop shop thing for my dog. Or I just took him in there to look around. I never remember. I don't. I usually buy like a bone there, but or something random. But I saw a blue tongue skink, and I was like, when did they start selling these, and why are they selling these? Because I am 99% sure that they cannot keep up with the humidity requirements
Of a
when they
blue
only
tongue.
have someone check them twice a day, and that person probably doesn't care much.
Oh yeah,
So,
ours. I was there when they were there, and they dumped buckets. I'm not joking, of water into the iguana tank.
oh
Water.
my gosh.
We're talking about buckets of water. I'm like, what are you doing? I literally said something because it bothered me so much. I'm like, what are you doing? We're raising the humidity. I'm like, so pour water into the tank, and the manager was telling him that's like how they were teaching them to do it. I'm just like, do
Oh
you
my
guys
gosh.
not have a spray bottle? Is it that hard? You really have to dump water? I'm like, the iguanas enjoy it. I'm like, I'm pretty sure they don't. I don't think they're gonna enjoy splashing water onto them. Yes, you'll probably see them in water. Maybe, I don't know, in Florida if they'll swim, but
Hmm.
I think they can, but they don't.
because I know they
I
live
mean,
up in the
I don't think
trees.
they choose to. I don't think it's a fun little pastime like Asian water monitors. I think they do it to survive.
yeah,
Yeah.
like maybe they're getting the iguana care confused with the
Asian
Chinese
water
water
monitor.
dragon.
Yeah.
Because
I don't
the
know, but
Chinese
they were
water dragon
pouring
probably
them
really
on
good.
them, and I was like, oh heck nah. And like, I'll never forget this. They get constant Savannah monitors for $40.
Yeah,
That's oh.
can we talk about why? Just, like, first off, I don't even like them selling animals, but why are you literally selling animals to people who most of your clientele are not experts because I'm sure the business people know that like a real expert in animals would never go there. Why are
Yeah.
you selling an exotic that is expert level? Like,
So they're wild caught, and I think that's why. A lot,
yeah,
I think most
yeah.
Savannah monitors are wild caught, so they can sell them for dirt cheap, and they don't care what happens after that.
Well, supposedly there's now a captive going on. I have to find it, but supposedly there's one small group that
I
is
don't think the
breeding
Petco
captive.
ones are captive though.
Y'all want to know that?
No, I
Oh, I
doubt.
know that. That is not. I'm not talking about that, but I know for sure they're wild caught. But in general, savannas are cheap, though. Let's be honest. Anywhere
Yeah,
you go, they're dirt cheap unless
they're
you
like
have
30
full grown.
bucks.
Unless
The
you
Yeah,
have
Geckos,
full
they're
grown,
always
they're
like
not cheap.
25 to 40.
I remember
I
just a
almost
quick
bought one.
little I who said they almost bought one?
So before I knew that they were all wild caught, I actually almost bought one, and then I decided not to because I didn't know enough. And when I went home and I looked into it, I was like, "Oh God, thank God I didn't do that."
Oh,
I mean,
they're
I
really
don't usually
aggressive.
make spontaneous decisions. Like I
Savannah's
usually
are
do my homework.
50-50 on aggressive line. Like I've seen some really nice ones. Like there's a place in the city. I think it's in like Hayward, where I hate that reptile store, but they had a Savannah that was sweet as heck and proper. I'm gonna say they give them proper size cages. I'm not gonna give them, but they put them all in sand. I'm like,
Oh,
you do all this good stuff and then you put them all on sand.
I've met nice ones too. That's why I actually all of the ones that I've met, with the exception of like one, um,
I hear
I
you have
met
to tame
angry ones
them.
since. But like the first one I ever met was actually really sweet. So in my head, I was like, oh, Savannah monitors are like these dinosaur looking sweethearts that are really great in captivity. And then I didn't know, and I was talking to the what he called himself was a breeder at one of these expos, and he said he bought him from another breeder or whatever. It was like this little baby, and I was like, oh, so I was like talking to him, and my fiance and I were like, you know what, it's not right for us right now, but we were asking him questions. All of the information he told us was like completely wrong. I don't know if he just like is incredibly misinformed or if he's a liar, but either way, he needs to do his homework if he's going to be a reptile vendor, and he shouldn't be selling Savannah monitors for $25 to people that don't know what they're doing and telling
And like
them to
they
do
don't
all
know
the
what
wrong
they're
things.
To
getting.
be honest, like besides the tegu was the only biggest lizard, I think savannas are not even like I think the water monitor is nice. I don't know, savannas just look weird to me with their head. They
Oh, their
never
head shape.
pleased
They
me.
look like little puppy dogs. That's what
They
they
don't look
remind
like
me.
I don't know. I mean, I guess people are gonna hate me for I never thought savannas were cute. No, we're talking about crocodile monitors and Asian monitors, yeah. But Tagos by then, even though Tagos aren't really monitors,
Yeah, they're
but
kids.
they're the
Dated.
cutest little things in the world,
Yeah,
especially the
I'm
males.
obsessed with my goo. I love her.
I
But
want a male just for the face.
oh, the big
Um,
cheeks. I think mine's a female, but she could be a male, and I've just been calling her a girl this whole time. I'm gonna laugh my butt off if some cheeks grow in. I'm gonna be like, oops.
you'd be like, "Hello."
But because I want to check, because she's large enough now that I could look and see.
How do you
But
sex them?
so
Yeah, I
there's
don't know
like this
that.
little there's a way to sex them that like, breeders can do, but like the common thing is you either wait for their cheeks to grow in, but they have to have some, like, females can have cheeks too. So they have to have like, the exceptional male cheekage. I don't know the term for it. But under their like by their vent, like, or their booty, I guess you could say, there's like a little group of scales that's like raised, and it's pretty prominent. Like I actually got to see it at a reptile expo because I had this one tegu breeder. I was like, look, I need to know because I need to know when it's time because I have to get the right pronouns. Like it just will bother me personally. I need to know these pronouns. So, like I don't know, and like I named her Kaiju just so it could go either way too. But
Yeah.
because Kai goes either way, but he said that there's like a prominent scale group like by their vent, and like he actually let me see and like feel, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. So like when Kai ever lets me lift her tail up and really look, I can like finally tell. But getting her to stay still is a whole different story. I don't
It's
think it's
a
ever gonna happen.
it's a scale group like only on males or is it
Yes,
on female?
it's on
Okay.
males.
And then I have
Sorry, I did not
one more
specify
question
that.
about tagos. Do tagos have the same thing with monitor lizards, the same bacterial infection if bitten, or is that only in the monitors? I was
So I actually don't know if we know that. I mean, I would assume they know that because there's a lot of like tegu research that goes on in Florida. I would imagine that they definitely have some gnarly bacteria because like they get fed like raw meat and stuff and like mice. So I definitely would not want to get bit because I'm sure they have some gnarly cultures going on in there, but like bacteria cultures. But as far as like them having like excreting like a type of venom or anything, because I think they just found out that like Komodo dragons actually excrete, like it's not just that they're bacteria. I mean,
yeah.
it's not
Their
just that their
saliva
slime has
isn't.
bacteria, but they actually do produce a little bit of venom.
So
Um,
all monitors do. Actually, that's the
yeah, I don't
they do.
think I don't think tegus do. I don't think they have a gland for that or anything, but I could be totally talking out of my butt. But I know like a lot of people get bit by their tegus, and like I haven't, but a lot of people get bit by their tegus and they're like fine. They just clean it and it's fine. So as long as you clean it, I mean anything can get infected. And
Yeah.
also like venom is kind of like subjective because what's venomous to us might not be venomous to like a
To
dog or
other
something.
animals.
So it can be kind of well, I guess you could say subjective. Well,
Well,
maybe
also
subjective
like
isn't the right word, but
venom severity also varies because like you have stuff like hog noses, which they're technically venomous, but
It's their saliva, I thought.
hog
yeah.
noses, they technically fall under venomous animals, like similar to like because if you are bitten by one, but like the thing is, it's with their saliva, it has to be it's because they have rear facing fangs, so they would have to chew on you to put the venom in you, whatever. But like it's not harmful to us. Like it's like a bee
Don't you
sting.
kind of just get like itchy and like maybe feel a little ill or something?
It depends on person to person because some people, from what I've heard people having mild allergies to it. Like I've never heard of anyone going into anaphylactic, but with hog noses, like mild allergies, like some people get nauseous, some people get like a little lightheaded, but for a majority of people that aren't allergic, it's like your hand swells up. It's like if you got a bee sting. Like that's
Okay.
what it's compared to.
That's kind
And
of
it's really the thing is, like, they'd have to chew on you because, like, the rear facing fangs have it. They'd literally have to chew on you to get that in. And Hognose' form of defense is not to strike. I mean, it is to strike, but it's not to strike open mouth. They're more likely to, when they strike, they hit you with their nose. That to them is
They're
key.
like, "Oop,
Key. No, literally, hognoses,
angry
how
poop."
their forms of defense are literally puff out their cheeks and hiss really loud to look like a cobra. If that doesn't work, let me strike at you with my nose to make you think I'm biting you because they have a pointy nose. If that doesn't work, they roll over and they play dead. Like that's I'm not even joking. They roll over and play dead and
That rolling
must.
over though is sad because they're so stressed. They're like, I'm gonna die, you know.
I
Like,
Oh,
mean,
people think it's cute, but I'm like, people need to realize that's sad. Don't
well,
get
I
your
mean,
yeah.
so stressed out.
it's really rare for them, I think, to do the rolling over and dying thing in captivity. I think that's more common in the wild.
Yeah,
Well, that's
bee
good.
reptiles does it a lot. Not to call out people, but
I mean, tea, but um. I was literally sitting here like, tea. I know. I'm just gonna sit here like sip.
that one slipped
I'm
out.
if you keep your let me reiterate my statement. If you're keeping your hog noses healthily and properly, you most likely will never see them roll over and play dead. You
Yeah,
might have them hiss, have them strike at you, but they're never going to roll over and play dead.
I
Like
feel I feel bad that I don't want a snake. Like I feel like I'm horrible.
So I'm actually I don't think you should feel horrible because I'm right there with you. I love snakes. I love them. I love
Yeah, don't get
handling
me
them.
wrong.
I
I
think
love
they're
them too.
gorgeous, but I don't want one. If I ever get a snake, it'll be a pied ball python. But and
me.
because I love them, but that's really it. I kind of debated on like a smaller snake, like a sand boa or a child's python or something like that for a while, but I really decided that like it didn't give me the same feeling that like getting a lizard does. Like I my passion is lizards, and I know I have leopard geckos and Peter's banded skinks, but I generally like bearded dragon and larger.
Mhm.
So, but I mean, my Peter's banded skinks are like my thing now. So, and like my leopard geckos are like my angels, and I adore them. So, like, it's not like I have favorites or anything per se, but
I
I
mean,
don't get excited over snakes to keep. I get excited over appreciating them with other people.
I
Yes,
mean,
same.
I don't think you should feel bad for not wanting to keep any kind of animal because, like, it shouldn't be like, it doesn't, it's not you saying you hate snakes, it's just not something you want to keep. Like, I don't think there's anything negative about that. Like, I was talking with Jessica about it. Like, I personally don't want to keep a snake just because, like, I don't particularly, like, I don't blame people. Like, I understand that, like, your snake you have to feed your snake, but like some of the big name feeder rodents wholesalers, like they just don't keep their rats in the best conditions, and rats are really smart, and intelligent, and like to me that just kind of rubs me the wrong way that they're not kept in the best conditions, and it's really hard to find like a local rat breeder that will sell frozen thawed and not will and won't just sell you live. So it's just really hard to find an ethical feeder breeder in my opinion, so that's just why I don't keep them. Um, because like just because of rats' intelligence and how some of them aren't kept in the best conditions. But like I said, like I don't like I understand why people would have to go to them because like that's the best option you have when you have a snake, you
Yeah.
know, but
My main reason is PetSmart ruined it. It really did. It was PetSmart. I wanted a snake before PetSmart, and because I've been bitten, I don't know how many times by their ball python, how many times by their king snakes, how corn snakes. I've actually had to like, push the corn snakes not being their fault. I've actually started almost hating corn snakes, but it's not their fault. It's just where they come from. Is that corn snakes always bite me, and they hang on, but I think it's they're hungry. They're just hanging on
I
too.
think that's a food response. If it was an aggression response, they'd like bite and let go. Cuz like they strike for defense. If they're biting and hanging on, they're trying to eat.
Yeah, the corn
From
snakes.
my
They're like, I'm
knowledge
gonna
of
take her
snakes.
down. This whole human. I'm gonna get her.
They're like, it's time.
Yes, I'm
And
like
My
forcing them like
time to rise has
stop.
come.
They always eat my fingers. I'm like stop because to be fair, they don't get fed, so I can understand them trying to. And I would, the moment I get a ball python to let onto my hand and not let go is the day I'm gonna quit because those suckers already hurt enough. I don't know how people handle it. They hurt badly.
Oh, like all the pythons I've handled, they don't wrap around me much. I mean, I know some ball, but like the ones I've handled never balled.
Oh, ours always
Personally,
bald. Like they're
I've never
always
been
in
bitten by
defensive
a
mode.
snake.
I've been bitten by a snake. It's not that bad. Um,
That's what
depending.
I've been told. I've been told to not be afraid unless it's like a hot snake, like a
Yeah.
venomous one.
Well,
Oh,
yeah. I
ours
mean,
always like to strike. I
it's
can't
it's
stand them.
not bad. Unless like yeah, unless they're venomous, and yeah, it's bad. But from what I've noticed, because I've been bitten by a boa constrictor. Um, I've been bitten by a berm and a boa constrictor. I was bitten by a boa constrictor as a little kid, and I just remember like it bled a lot because like snakes have an anticoagulant in their saliva, so when you do get bit, you bleed a lot, even if it doesn't necessarily puncture deep. You just bleed a lot. I actually got bitten by a berm because, not naming names here, there is a store, if you want to call it that, a reptile zoo, if you want to call it that, in my area that has animals that you bring to parties and you do that kind of stuff, and they're not well known. Like this one isn't super well known, so it might not be who you might be thinking of. And I remember they were like, hold the Burmese python, and I was like, okay, it looks stressed, but okay. And that thing, like this was like a year ago, reared up and it bit me like on my hand. And they were like super apologetic and were like, oh my God, like, because I think they thought they were going to get sued. And I was literally like, I'm fine. Like, it's fine.
Okay, so when you worked at PetSmart, sorry, I know it's off. Did
Yeah,
people
no, no,
usually
it's not, of
encourage you to
course.
be bitten? Like I'm like the customer's like, I want to see you get bitten. Like, why do you want to see me get
That's
bitten?
sick. Oh my god.
Exactly. No, like this cane snake.
I want
Frankly,
to see
he's
you
a
get hurt. It'll be great.
I want to see you get
exactly
bit. I'm
like I'm
ready.
like when they're aggressive, I'm like, you want to get him? You want this pet, right? I'm like, no, I don't want to get bitten. I'm like, you want it, right? And I'll make the customers get it. I'm like, if you want to hold them and you want to take him home, get him out. Because when there's this one king snake that hasn't been sold, because God bless his soul. God
So
bless that king snake's soul. Because
I
he
think
strikes at everything. He doesn't care. And like no one wants to pick him up because they don't want to be bitten. I'm like, then why get a snake? You're gonna get bitten regardless.
yeah,
It's
like how
gonna
are you gonna
happen.
like clean his terrarium and stuff and like
I
feed him and stuff?
I feel
Well, I
like
mean
if
you feed
you
with
yeah.
tongs, I guess, but still.
I mean, I feel like if you get any animal, at some point you're gonna get bit. Like it's just gonna happen.
Yeah,
Like I
Exactly.
I think my secret is, and I'll be honest with you, I am a huge chicken. I hate pain and I don't want to get bit. So I am really good at like I just always really zone in on like body language. Like I don't know what it is. Like I don't consider myself an expert or anything. I actually watched a Clint's Reptiles video on this because he
mhm.
apparently very rarely gets bit or like hasn't gotten bit by a snake. I think he did after he made the video though, and he thought that that was funny. But he talks about it, and like I
Mhm.
never realized that I really do the same things subconsciously that he like discussed in the video. Like he
Mhm.
mainly talks about snakes, how he's never gotten bitten by snakes, but like it's kind of the same thing for lizards because they
Lizards,
actually
yeah.
give more signs. But when I worked at PetSmart, like I just assumed like most of them were aggressive. Well, our corn snakes were always okay. But the
Oh,
king snakes and the milk, well, the milk snakes were fine. They would just musk on me. But the
Oh, you
king
had
snakes
milk snakes
just
come in?
wanted to kill me. They wanted me dead. So
the
I
king
would just
snake
wear
definitely.
gloves. Like I just wear a glove. I was just like, no, you're not getting me. I'm wearing this welding glove.
I didn't know
So
PetSmart had milk snakes. Like,
Yes, they have milk snakes, king snakes. They have actually a lot of exotic animals. Is that they can't either if they can afford it, they can't afford it to make a profit off
I
that.
I've never seen a milk snake at a PetSmart. I learned something new today.
Oh yeah, we have one right
yeah.
now. I can actually take a picture of it when I go tomorrow.
Oh, send me a picture. Are they in good condition though, or is it gonna make me sad? I mean, it's gonna make
I
me
don't
sad
know.
in general.
I don't deal with them because
Are they
no one really wants
aggressive?
them, and snakes don't mix there because they constantly bite me. I mean, man, I have so many like
Um,
absolutely they ruined it for me. I
at
don't want
PetSmart or Petco, do you guys like are you guys with the snakes? Are they automatically fed frozen thawed or are they fed live? I always wondered that.
frozen. We can't
Frozen.
afford
Yeah.
live. Well, Petsmart is against like we can't even sell our mice that are alive as a feeder. People will come
Yeah.
asking. I'm like, do you really want to feed those?
Like why would you pay $12 for a hamster when you could pay like $5 for a frozen thawed, larger, gut loaded mouse or rat? Like it doesn't make sense. Like this like hamster was not gut loaded or fed or raised to feed your snake, where this frozen thawed option was. So like kind of crazy.
I don't know. It's like that is crazy. Like I've had people asking for hamsters or like stuff. I'm like, why hamster? Like that's not even normal.
That's not even nutritional value. Like, why are you
And also I'm not against feeding live per se because I know certain snakes
will
will
only
only
take
take
live?
live and
Yeah.
things like
See,
that.
that's a hot topic because some people truly believe you can force a snake back into frozen. Like that is a hot topic. Like
Yeah, I mean, I personally will like kaiju. I feed her frozen thaw. I mean, I know she's not a snake. She's like a thick snake with legs, but like I know she a very intelligent thick snake with legs. But like I know she's not like a snake, but like I feed her, like rats because she needs that whole prey nutrition and more than just like bugs and stuff. So she gets like a weekly rat. And she eats fuzzies right now, although I think I'm gonna have to upgrade her soon because she is getting big. But with her, it's always frozen thawed because I just don't. It would just be so horrible to watch her because I've seen her do it with bugs. To watch her chase down an animal that knows what's happening, sound like even just watching her chase down bugs kind of upsets me. Like I
I don't
feel for that
I
like
think
roach or that cricket, like because she's like scary.
aggressive. I always feel bad. Like that's just the thing with me. Like I don't another reason I don't think I could own a snake is just in case they only wanted to eat live by some chance. I don't think I could do it.
see,
Yeah,
I
I'm
really don't think I could do it.
I
Like I
could.
said, um, it's not even just like the big cell breeders like of rats are not the best. It's just that, like the idea of feeding like a live animal that has the cognitive ability to realize I am going to die. Like like I prefer feeding frozen thawed rodents in general just for anyone because like
Yeah,
I don't know. Like I mean I guess like if your snake had to eat live, like I totally 100% understand. Like that happens. I just think for me personally, like
yeah. Like I'm not
I just
against
couldn't do
it,
it.
but I don't condone it either. I'm kind of like if you do that, like that's your thing. Just I don't want to see it. Like
I
I don't want
think
to know. I hope that it's not a struggle. I hope it's super fast.
you
Like
know, but I what I don't get with live, like I don't mind it. Like I've I want a dwarf caiman in the future. Some well, you can feed a pros. What am I talking about? But those are predatory animals. Like I can understand that. Even though you can feed it froze, I don't know where I was going with this. I need to shush. But sometimes
they're
animals don't.
fast though. I mean that animal's dead when they hit it. So
oh
Yeah,
yeah.
true. It's
that's a little
gone.
It's
better.
like chomp. It's like it's over.
But
So
another
funny.
thing is you're also putting your snake at risk because these animals
Yeah.
aren't stupid. Their rats are very
The
intelligent.
rats are very, very smart.
So if that rat can literally get its little head out, it's gonna go for that bite. And snakes don't have what like crocodiles or monitors have armor. They don't.
Well, they don't have those jaw crushing, like, because monitor lizards and caiman, like, their jaws could literally crush. Like,
But even if let's just say remarkably the rat did survive by holy Jesus, you know, it's not gonna hurt the animal.
no.
It's not. It's not gonna at
But with a
all.
snake, like what I've heard from people that have fed live and only live, is that when their snake does get injured, then the snake becomes scared of the rat and won't eat. Like they won't eat them anymore, and then they just starve themselves because they're scared, which is a very like if you're going to feed live, like you should at least going in knowing that like yeah, that could happen. Your snake will become terrified. They won't want to eat anymore because they'll associate eating with getting hurt and fear and they'll starve themselves. Like that's one of the cons to
Yeah.
feeding live that isn't even moral or ethical. That's just literally something that can't happen.
And two
Yeah.
is parasites. And then you don't know what the live, and you have to also just like crickets and the other thing, gut loading. Like if you're not properly feeding your live rats, you know, that's where it's like I
I
think
think
right shell rot. I mean not shell rot, skin scale rot, and all those things can come along. If I'm
I
correct.
think most rats, people that feed live just go buy them and then go take them home and feed them. I don't think most people who feed live breed their own colonies.
I
Yeah.
know, but
Uh,
still, like that's something I'm like worried about if they're not taken well care of. Is hold
At
on,
least
I'll just grab something. Oh, you piece of shit.
I think with like frozen, it's just more like it's more standard to know that you're not getting something filled with parasites because it's already been frozen and everything's been killed kind of
Yeah.
deal. Um
Yeah. Yeah, and honestly, I mean, I know she's a Tegu, but Kaiju loves her frozen thawed, like warmed up pretty nice. Man, she
yeah.
takes she's like bam. And I know a lot of steaks really like they go for it. Like I know they're a lot like that too. So like when I worked at PetSmart, I never really had problems feeding. Like sometimes the pythons would slow down, but like you said earlier, Taylor, it was only like for a certain time of year, and then they'd eat like crazy again. Because I think we offered them food like once a week. And then
Mhm.
if we had a python that was like a little chunky, then we would like slow it down to like every 2 or 3 weeks. And because again, like our PetSmart manager was pretty good. I mean, like she couldn't control what came in. Like if they
Yeah.
came in these horrible conditions and we were like forced to sell them or whatever. But like she did really try her best to like compensate for like the horrible environment. So like and if we had a snake not eating, like she wouldn't force feed it. She would take it to like the vet, and then if the vet was like, "Oh, everything's fine," like
Wonderful.
there was only one snake I saw that had to be force fed, and it was a corn snake, and he didn't make it. So I don't think that usually is a good method.
Yeah, I mean like usually once you get to force feeding, it's very unlikely that they're going to make it. Like
Yeah, so I
um
think it's like a
like
failure to
it's
try.
a last resort. That's what literally force feeding is. It's a last resort. I'm not talking assist feeding. Force feeding's a last resort.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But the only thing about
Um,
our stores is bad and uneducational. And then you get people that think they know everything. And then our new management doesn't care. Like, bless our new pet care management, but she believes that they don't come from males. Okay.
oh,
So she's been
can
bliss. If I told her that, she literally got mad at me and it's like, don't say that when it's not true. I'm like, what the
but it is.
but it is. Like,
Um,
she's like, with PetSmart for 2 or 3 years. If I knew it was a male, I wouldn't be working here. I'm like, well, I think you need to find a different job then. you
'cause
know?
well, like I'm thinking of like the only good thing PETA has ever done for the reptile community because I don't stand them. I don't stand with them.
I don't
me
Um,
neither.
either.
is when they released that thing on Petco and PetSmart and the reptile mills. Have you guys ever seen that documentary?
Yeah, I couldn't
So
watch it.
I have, and I'm terrified to know what PETA did with all those animals, though, because they're really, really great at killing everything. So
Oh no, they are.
But if
I'm like
look on the
afraid of
bright
what
side though, those animals were dying anyway. So if you did put them down, like They're already gonna die anyways. Half of those animals in those sad videos.
Yeah,
Um,
I just like PETA's weird because they're like, we
we
think all
don't.
animals should be free, and it's like, well, people are animals. Should we be free, like in the
Should we?
wild? Like,
Apparently, according to PETA, we should go run around naked. Like that. That's PETA's
No, thank
prerogative.
you. I
no,
don't
we
want to see old
can't.
people.
PETA's just. I don't stand them. I don't like them. But I was saying, like, at least when they did that, it brought the issue of Petco and PetSmart to mainstream
Yeah,
audiences, if
like
you will.
people started to really understand that like these stores are not
No
the
go.
greatest.
Yeah,
Like
but the
they do good things, they sell good stuff, like the adoption events and everything.
Right.
But when it
Right.
comes to like their pet care and their grooming, oh.
but eventually I think things will stop because legally PetSmart and Petco cannot sell dogs and cats. So when you see those cats, they're owned by a different company.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
the
they stopped
shelter comes in
legally
and
selling
takes
cats
care
and
of them.
dogs. So maybe we'll stop selling fish and uh,
Hopefully.
reptiles and
Yeah.
birds, especially the fish. I mean, I hope the fish go first. They are they are bad. Like
Yeah,
our
like
tanks
leave it
are
to the fish
disgusting.
stores because they need, I mean, they need the economy anyway. They need the money anyway. So it's like leave the fish stores, let them handle it. 'Cause
They need it. Oh yeah, definitely need it really bad. The
they're
fish
so
stores.
Um, to finish us off, I guess, is just like in everyone's final opinion, like what is the main reason you say don't like support them? Like I guess like your final like verdict. Like I'll start like in my personal opinion, just don't buy from them even if you think you're rescuing unless they're releasing that animal from you. Don't buy from them because you're not even just supporting the bad care there, you're supporting like reptile mills. I guess that's like just a thought I wanted to
There's an article I need to show you. Like when I showed you, is it was a perfect article of why not to buy from PetSmart or Petco because
please
when you
send
see
it.
that cute little animal sitting there and you're like, wow, that's sad, and you buy it, you're
Mhm.
basically supporting it, and that's the cute animal you're selling. It's just gonna be replaced next week because they're every Thursday we get new reptiles, so every Thursday is gonna be a new one. you know
Yeah.
so every Thursday, so when that animal you rescue, you didn't rescue it, you bought it. So basically, if you want to save that animal, adopt, call the manager, everything, bug them for it. Do not buy it. Sometimes, as cruel as it sounds, turn away because you're not saving it. If you cannot adopt it, it's a lost cause. And you have to think about there's thousands and thousands. I mean, I'm starting to learn that myself that need homes already. If you really want to save, go on Craigslist. They're
I
probably
was just
PetSmart.
about to say you
Go
can
on
find
Craigslist.
so many.
You
Yep.
know, just buy from them instead. If you really want to go buy an animal and save them, Craigslist is the perfect place to buy sick animals.
Because they're not getting any they're
They're
not
not
going to
getting
buy
any.
more. That's not going to be
Most
replaced.
likely the people on Craigslist are trying to get rid of it
Yeah, they're
before it
not going to
dies.
replace it.
So they're not most likely not going to replace it. They're just trying to get their money back.
Yeah.
They spent on it, and you can nurse that sick animal back to health for $30, and better than supporting PetSmart or Petco because
Just
you're
make
just
sure
going to
you're
be going up an uphill battle that is never going to win until it starts hurting their pockets. You're not going to stop them. They're a multi-billionaire company.
yeah.
Repeat that, multi-billionaire company. You're not going to stop them. They're still going to do what they're going to do. So the best thing to do is not pay for it. It's hard, but it's the fact. I have 3 currently for them, and I've only started in April. And we're not talking about the ones that died. The ones that I've had in my time of dying, what? Get over 100 at least died in one of my time I've been there.
Oh my gosh.
Ugh.
So, and I watched them die in 4 months. That gecko, I remember I showed you a picture of, was sitting there for a good 4 or 6 months. He was with this one. Remember, I wasn't going to get him because I thought he had whatever you call it. I just blanked
Crypto?
out. Yeah, remember I wasn't gonna get it because I was
Yeah.
paranoid, but I got this one. He's gaining weight, so I don't think it's crypto.
No, if it was crypto, it'd be over.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so he's gaining some pounds. I'm still giving him
He
the
might have just been the one in the hierarchy that was bullied the most.
most likely. He's the one that actually bullied the one that died.
Oh.
No, yeah, the skinny anorexic one you would think being the one bullied. Nope, it's the one that died was being more bullied. I think they were bullying
Um,
each other. but in it's they had no heater. We don't do heaters at PetSmart. Those don't exist. I had begged them for that, and they said, "Fine, for the best interest of the pets, we'll do it." After I begged, after the one original died.
Oh, that's horrible.
That's just
I
Oh
guess
yeah,
my
and the
final thing
heaters with the
is
bitter
sorry.
dragon. Oh, sorry. Do one.
Sorry.
Oh, it's fine. It's just, and then one of the heaters, bitter dragon is supposed to not be on heating pads. So one that's in the back has the heating pad, where the ball python that should have the heating pad and not the bitter dragon, which is hilarious. Why not switch them? So now the bitter dragon has a heating pad on and a red light, and I don't know, they don't have UVB in the back, so we don't use UVB in the back. So we have turtles in the back with no UV, bitter dragon no UVB, and we don't
ugh.
supplement. So whatever back there, yeah, no supplement. I had to literally write it down what to supplement if people are even going to do it.
Oh, that's terrible.
Oh, it's horrible. Not to mention, like, I know I'm going on this, but people that work with, like, I tell them not to do this because me, I don't care about to sell. You can fire me for literally like what, $12 in California. That's nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing in California for what, 2 days a week. You can fire me. I told my mom that you can fire me. So I'm honest, and they always yell at me about it. I'm like, fire me. You won't do it. Fire me, please. So like I'm like the only brutally honest person there, and people hate
Hmm.
really do, but I'm like, fire me. I'm at the stage, just fire me because I hate this job anyways. I'll find
Yeah.
something else, you know.
Find something
So
else.
yeah, so the people like I remember this girl. She said, well, the gut because their I guess their bitter dragon was losing weight, so they
Yeah.
said feed them waxworms. And I looked at, I told her like, why did you do that? Well, I feed my waxworms. I'm like, just because you're gonna kill yours doesn't mean you have to kill someone else's or like fatten them up in the wrong way. And she got mad about that. I'm like, well, you feed your bitter dragon fish. I've never heard of that. Feed
Oh.
bitter dragon
Oh,
fish.
that's not a thing.
Talk about
I don't.
goldfish too that have died. She just
Oh,
picks
there,
them out.
there's fish walking around in Central Australia. That's normal.
Yeah, fish walk on land in Australia. It's Australia.
But I
Duh.
asked people and they said that's normal. I'm like, how is that normal? I've
I've
never seen a
never
bitter
heard of
dragon go fishing.
bearded dragons are insectivores. Like
Yeah, she feeds her bitter dragon
the
fish.
only thing I've heard of is that if there's a pregnant bearded dragon, sometimes in the wild they'll seek out small rodents in the wild if they're pregnant. But like otherwise, I hear they're
Oh
strictly
my god.
insectivores.
There was this guy that comes in,
Yeah.
feeds his bearded dragon rodents all